Hey YouTube, it's Marida and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. In this edition, we're actually going to talk about nursing student etiquette. If you want to see what I'm talking about or hear, stay tuned. Welcome back. My name is Dr. Marida P. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 17 years. I am an OB/GYN, well baby nursery nurse. It's my specialty, and I'm a nurse educator. And I am doctorally prepared, teach at HBCU, and we are on break at the moment. It is summertime. And I start back in 6 weeks to work. So I want to definitely go ahead and put out some more content for you more often while I have a break. So if you happen to have videos that you would like me to do something on, please comment that in the box below. But today we're actually going to talk about nursing student etiquette. And in this video, we are going to basically talk about what you as a nursing student should be doing in order to better communicate with your instructor. Let's go ahead and talk about, and I don't have any notes, so I'm just freely talking about some examples of how students lack etiquette and basically how to improve your communication with your faculty to have better outcomes when it comes to correspondence, communication, and of course outcomes. So you're probably wondering, where is this even steering from? Where's it coming from? What has happened? Well, I've been in academia for 16 years of my 17-year nursing career, or at least 15 and a half of my 17-year nursing career. And there are some common themes that I'm noticing over the past 16 years. And this past year, I spent full-time in academia where I teach full-time now. So I have noticed some things that I'm really kind of appalled about. I'm like, I can't believe the students actually talk like this and such. So we're going to actually kind of dive into those topics. And for me to just advise you on better ways to communicate with your instructors, so again, that you can have more favorable outcomes to you. All right, so with that being said, I'm speaking about the instructors who we all know that all instructors are not good, okay? There's good and bad in everything. There's good and bad in literally everything. So I don't want you to think that, well, I don't want to hear that, well, some instructors are not good instructors. You're correct about that. They are not all good. Neither are students, okay? So there's good and bad in everything is my point. There's not good students. There's not good instructors. Now, since we already, talked about that part of it, let's talk about the good instructors. And then at the end, I'll talk about how to handle some of the I wouldn't say bad instructors. Okay, let's define bad instructors. So when you say bad instructor, you could mean that he or she just doesn't teach you anything, meaning that they just read up for PowerPoint. They don't offer anything to go with it. You could mean that they're a bad instructor because that they could be bad because of the fact that they have a bad attitude. They could be bad because they don't return emails. They could be bad because they are just hateful people. They could be bad because they are discriminatory or racist people. So there's a lot of reasons as to why people can be a bad instructor. Now, let me kind of explain what I mean by bad student. When I say bad student, I mean bad in the sense of they don't do their work. They want handouts, meaning that not like physical pieces of paper. They don't want to do the work, but they want the privilege because they paid for a class. That's not how nursing school works. You pay for a class to get something out of the class, but you have to put something into the class in order to get anything out. And so a bad student who wants to be handed everything, they want to be coddled, They want to be spoon fed. That's a better way of saying it. Spoon fed. I don't spoon feed. And honestly, if you all have instructors who do spoon feed you, they are not doing you any benefit, none whatsoever. And while I'm on this, and I'll come back, I'll digress any minute. But while I'm on this, I want to say that when instructors spoon feed you, or you have easy instructors, that means they have low standards for you. That means they have low standards for themselves too, because it's easy. Keep in mind, I'm going to compare this to a tree. If you have a tree with low hanging fruit, that means it's easily accessible. Let's equate that to a woman or a man. If you have a man or a woman that's low hanging fruit, that means he or she is easily accessible, if you know what I mean. If you have high hanging fruit that's higher up in the tree, the standards are higher to get to that fruit, right? That means you had to work a little bit more to get to that fruit. You had to put a ladder up, climb the tree, whatever you had to do to get to that fruit. They're not easily accessible. That's a higher standard. And so your faculty that are spoon feeding you, that are coddling you, that give you the answers to everything, they have low standards for you because you are easy. That's how it's perceived, okay? And it makes it easier for you, therefore it makes it easier for them. They don't want to work, so therefore you don't have to work. That is someone who is not a good instructor. A good instructor is someone who will challenge you. That means they have to do more work too. They have to do more work because if they're trying to challenge you, that means they have higher standards for you. I have very high standards for my students, very high. And that standards are so high that they usually achieve them, or they're pretty close to achieving them. And when I say that, I teach my students at the level in which they could work alongside me. So that means if me and you had to sit side by side working, taking care of a patient, that I know that you can take care of that patient because I taught you how to do it. I didn't spoon feed you. You know how to take care of the patient. Doesn't mean you won't ask questions. That's not what I'm saying. It means that you know how to take care of your patient because you know how to critically think. You've had to work hard for it. Anything you work hard for, you respect, you value, and you prepare for, and you appreciate. That's what I'm saying. So now that we've defined good and bad, I digress. Now that we've defined we've defined bad instructor, bad student, depending on how you all, back to bad student, unprofessional students as well. They lack professionalism, they lack decorum, they lack those types of things. So that's what I'm talking about when I say bad student. Now that we've kind of discussed what a bad student and bad instructor can be like on both sides, let's talk about the etiquette that I'm talking about here, some of my scenarios or situations that I've had. So I've had emails where a student will say, hey, and then continue with whatever their concerns are. You don't ever send your instructor email talking about, hey. You heard hey is for horses? I'm not a horse. We're not horses. You say Dr. or Miss such and such, and then state your situation. There is a proper greeting for a reason. If you want them to respect you as a student, you respect them as your instructor. That's how that goes. So don't ever put hey. Don't ever do that. Put what, Dr. or Miss such and such, and then continue with your statement, your question, your concern. That's one thing. Number two, when you never call your instructor by their first name. They are an authority figure to you. I don't care if they're the same age as you. They are an authority figure to you. You say Mr. or Miss such and such or Dr. such and such. That's what you need to say. You respect their title that they have, you respect the position that they have, and they'll respect you. For me, I always call my students Miss or Ms. or Mr. such and such. That's respect. I respect them as a person. I respect them as an adult. So I call them Miss such and such or Mr. such and such when I address them in class. That's just how I am. Number three, when it comes to nursing student etiquette, you all think you're doing good when you do this. But let's say there's an issue with a test, okay? Maybe the test was difficult. Maybe the test was whatever happened. Do not send an email or come as a class representative for the class saying me and the whole class feels X, Y, and Z, or me and the whole class was talking and we, whatever. Well, you know what? Don't ever speak for anyone besides yourself, because when you do that, what you do is you think you are having you think it's power in numbers and the masses will come, but what you're really going to do is have a lot of your instructors shut down on you and say, okay, you know what? No, we're not doing this. We're not going to do that. You put them against a wall when you do that. So don't come saying me and the other students feel X, Y, and Z. Because let me tell you something. If the other students felt that way, they send an email about it. So what they end up doing is have you as the scapegoat for everything. And I've called students out on this. I'll say, okay, first of all, you're not the class representative, number one. Number two, if the other students that you just talked about feel that way, they would have sent me an email just like you did. So they have now played you because they have you up there speaking for the whole class when they don't need to be spoke for. And that's what I'm saying. Speak for yourself, okay? Worry about yourself is what I always say. Worry about yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. I don't care if the whole class failed the test. You don't come on here saying, you don't come and send an email saying, well, me and my classmates state or thought or whatever. You don't do that. You simply say, you know what, I had difficulty with this test and I would really like to know or a better way to prepare for the test. Is there any way that I can meet with you one-on-one, in your office hours so we can talk about better ways for me to study and prepare for the next test? That's how you handle that. Not where you the whole class and fail. The whole class could have failed for one or two reasons. The whole class could have failed because maybe the instruction was not that great. The instructor was not that great. They didn't teach it well, whatever. Okay, that's one reason. Another reason why you could have failed the test is because of the fact that you didn't prepare for the test. And yes, if the whole class does not know how to study, which I have another video on how to study for tests, I will link that to this one. Then if you didn't prepare for the test, then you're not going to pass the test. So you're not going to do as well as you thought you should have. So again, only speak for yourself. Don't speak for other students. That is a big issue with me personally. I do not like that at all. When you think you're speaking for everybody else, but yet you the only one sent the email. Again, worry about yourself because they're not worried about you. Okay. Number 4. This is another issue that I have had with students. And that is comparing instructors. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you have an instructor who's teaching you med-surg, and you have another instructor who's teaching you health assessment, and you have another one who's teaching, say, OB or whatever. And you're like, well, my other instructor don't do X, Y, and Z, or my other instructor does X, Y, and Z. Okay, what does that have to do with the instructor that you have issues with now? If you have an issue with your instructor, the instructor that you're talking about, go handle it with that instructor. None of us are taught the exact same way, and we all have autonomy in how we teach our classes. There are some policies that have to remain in place. There are some things in which we have to do to teach you, but for the most part, how we do it is how we have our autonomy. We are allowed to teach the way we want to teach as long as we cover the material. So with that being said, like I just explained to you, I'm a very hard instructor. However, my students actually come out knowing stuff and passing their boards, at least on that section. So if you, as an example, if you have heard of ATI, I do OB, I teach OB. My last group of students that I just had who I taught their OB class, when they took their ATI comprehensive maternal section, they all passed, they either scored a 100 on it or they scored very high on it because I know what I'm teaching and I teach them very, very well. Now, I don't coddle them. I don't tell them what's going to be on the test because I taught the material and I have standards. They knew my standards. They knew I didn't play, and they learned the materials. They were fine. So just be mindful of those kinds of things. Know that you need to prepare for your test. So if you're not learning something, you don't know something, come on your own and say, I need help. I need help. Also, nursing student etiquette. Also, one thing that I have actually counseled different students on or advised different students on is how to approach a difficult instructor. When I say approach, I mean either in person or via email. So you have a difficult instructor, meaning that he or she is very hard to approach. They think they are always right, and they're intimidating to you, whatever it happens to be. How do I approach them? When you come into a class and your instructor is credentialed, okay? Now, I'm not saying he or she's always the brightest or the smartest or whatever it happens to be. But however, this is the person who's teaching you, and this is the one who is credentialed and has the supposedly credentials to do so. With that being said, let's say, for instance, you want to challenge a question on a test, or you want to challenge something you read in the chapter, or you want to challenge something like that. and or maybe you don't understand something in the syllabus, whatever it happens to be, just be mindful that if you find something that you find yourself to be correct, or you think that you're correct on, and you feel that the instructor is wrong on, use this approach when you are dealing with them. So a lot of instructors do have egos, they do have pride, and they don't want sometimes you have to stroke their ego. Now you may say, I'm not going to stroke nobody's ego. It's your grade, do what you want to do. At the end of the day, I always say, even for myself, I have a strong personality. When I did my DMP, I had to deal with instructors who I knew something wasn't right. I found where it wasn't right, but people were scared to even email or question them on something because they knew they were going to get yelled at or fussed at or just chewed out or whatever. I pay my money to get my education. That's which is what I expect to get. And so I had one instructor in my DMP program who she was, I mean, it wasn't a race issue. She was just difficult. She was just difficult. And if you said something to her, she would chew you out. She was just difficult. And what I learned to do with her was I use these words right here. I say, Dr. such and such. So for one, I gave her greeting. I addressed her according to her title, Dr. such and such. My words are, help me understand. And then I go on with whatever I need to say. When you say help me understand, even though I know I'm probably right, or I know I'm right and you wrong, I say help me understand. It takes the blow off of them. You don't put them on the defensive. If I say help me understand, I'm basically saying that I don't understand and it's my fault I don't understand. So I want you to give me an alternative explanation as to why we are doing or not doing or whatever it happens to be. Help me understand. I always say that. When I say help me understand, again, it does not put them on the defensive, and they'll come back usually with a better explanation as to, or at least a softer explanation. It may not be any better, but it's a softer approach. They're not yelling at you via email, or they're not, every time they put you down, it doesn't come off that way when you use a softer approach. So again, sometimes you do have to stroke people's egos in order to get what you want. Keep in mind, these people are the ones who are in charge of your grade. Okay, they're in charge of your grade. So with that being said, if they're in charge of your grade, you want to have an approach that's going to be conducive of them giving you the grade that you earned. Because it's very hard when you have, just like with anything else wrong in life, when you have somebody who's an authority figure, you have to be able to prove that something is not right. So for instance, if they can put any grade down that you got, and you want to say that it's wrong, you have to be able to prove that it's wrong. You're just going to say, I didn't deserve that grade. So be mindful of that. It's your approach a lot of times. And the one more thing I want to end with, which I just forgot. Let me think. I just forgot. I wanted to end with something. I want to end with this. Make sure you as a student do your part and do everything you can to communicate with your instructor. What that basically means is if you have anything going on in your life, now I'm not saying it's going to change his or her mind about how they handle the situation or how they handle you. But if they know you are trying, if they know that you're trying, this is an empathetic instructor. If they're not empathetic, then this doesn't work either. But if they know that you're trying. So I had a student, and I'm not going to I can't go into too much detail, but we were this past semester or year, really, we were doing instructing via Zoom because of COVID. And because of that, we, had to have, class on Zoom. And as a result of that, I have a requirement that you have to have your camera on at all times. How do I know you're actually there? See, you can't fool somebody who was a student herself. We all been students before, so you can't fool me. So if your camera is not on, you are considered absent. I don't care if your name is logged in. I need to see your face. You're considered absent for me if I don't see your face. And while we are in class, this student, she's trying to get her education, but yet she has a lot of issues going on personally. She has family members that she's taking care of at the same time. So she's a caregiver as well. She's trying to go to school full time, and she's working. And I knew that because she had told me that about her. Well, I'm watching my teaching and I'm watching my cameras, the students, and I see her mom in the background fall, like she's an elderly person. And so she cuts the camera off. And I guess she goes to take care of her mom. She then sends a message in the chat box. I'm so sorry to cut my camera off because my mom fell and I had to go pick. Anyway, all that. because of her mom's ailments and issues going on in her life, she had a lot of issues, but that student worked so hard. She didn't make excuses though. She never made excuses. So that's the other thing. Do not make excuses, because we don't care about excuses. Come do what you need to be doing. And if you are in a situation in your life where nursing school is just too hard because you have something personal going on, you may have to consider to drop out of nursing school. To ask your instructors to bend and change the program or how it's done for you is a bit selfish, for one. And number two, you jeopardize the integrity of the program when you do that. So if you feel like you need to step away from the program because you have some personal issues going on, then step away from the program. But if you feel like it's something that can be maintained and contained and you can still make your grades, definitely continue the program. And this person did not want to drop the class. And she said, this is what I got going on, but I'm going to do the best I can in this class. And she did. When it came to an assignment, she nailed that assignment every single time. There's times where she didn't do so good on certain things, and I knew that. But you know what? She was about a tenth of a point from passing the class. And I made sure she passed that class because I knew she put the work in. The numbers just didn't fall right, but she was a tenth of a point from failing, actually. Or from passing, I mean, sorry. She needed a tenth of a point to pass the class. Because I knew she had worked hard that whole semester and I knew what she was going through, I went ahead and made sure that she passed the class. You may say, well, that's curving a grade, that's this, that, and the other. No, faculty will do that. If they know that you have did all you can and that you really did learn the material, but you're having some hard times, that you came to class every day, you did everything you needed to do, they may do that. I had another student who she's also in the same situation. She had a 70, they have to have a 78, 77.4, I think she had. And she asked me, was there anything she could do to bring her grade up? I said, you could have turned in those 3 assignments that you didn't turn in, that you got zeros on. So no, I did not change her grade because of the fact that you didn't do the work that you needed to do. So why would I give you extra credit at the end to help pass the class? You didn't pass the class because you didn't do the work. So again, if you are someone who's going through something, definitely, keep, I wouldn't say tell all your business, but definitely tell enough to go and let the instructors know, I'm going through something right now. But I'm going to be present. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure I pass your class. And they will help you. If you need help, ask for help. If it's something they can help you with, they will likely do it if they can. If it's a policy that they can't, then they can't. Read your syllabus, read your policies, find out about that. So these are just a few tidbits that I've experienced in terms of nursing student etiquette that I've seen that have to be changed. If you want to have the best nursing school experience, think about these types of things before you go approach the instructor or the faculty member about whatever the issue happens to be. And I can't say I guarantee because I can't speak for all faculty, but I can attest that many of them will appreciate you having a better approach in terms of being direct towards them, have a better approach in terms of addressing them, and they will be there to help you more likely if you are helping yourself. And that's for me. If you're not helping yourself, don't ask me to help you, because I already have my degree. I have my credentials. I have my certification. That's true. I don't have my certification. I have my credentials. I have my license. I have my doctorate. So if I had to work hard to get it, why do you think I would hand you a degree? Why do you think I would hand you a class? Why would I hand you an A? Because you have to work for it just like I did. And I take this program serious enough, me personally, that I don't want someone in the field of nursing who has not been trained properly to be a nurse. So if you haven't did your part, why would I say that you are really ready to go to the next class when every class builds upon itself? Just in a few examples. So anyway, take it with a grain of salt. If it don't apply, let it fly. But I'm just simply saying these are some tips that could be helpful to you if you would just watch your approach when it comes to how you handle and engage with your faculty members, because they'd be more receptive to you if they knew that you were truly here for the reason that you should be here, not just to get a grade or get an easy A. So anyway, hopefully that's insightful for you. Thank you for watching this video in its entirety. Definitely follow me, subscribe. Definitely follow me on IG if you so choose. Also on IG. No, I just said that. On TikTok. And until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.